And I'm Zansi. Welcome to Game On a day when all things come to a standstill in South African football. That's our culture, as it is Derby Day. Well, Soweto Derby is the big talking point today. We'll talk about that with Sikhosana a little bit later on. And we start off the show speaking to another legend, another man who played in the Soweto Derby, of course, and that, of course, is Shane. And Shane, good to be in your company. Let's talk about England. Nottingham Forest, we've been raving and ranting about them for the last couple of months, but they visit Bournemouth and take a high five.
Yeah, good to be here again.
Yeah.
I could never see this result coming. When we spoke last week, I thought Forest would win because they were on a high, gained well. But this is the league, Any team can beat any team on any given day. And, Liverpool are playing them this weekend and they rested players in the Champions League for this coming up games on Saturday. So it just shows you that they were worried about Bournemouth.
I have to ask you about Liverpool. They win 4-1 against Ipswich, which is a scoreline you predicted, more or less. Firstly, Salah, the form he's showing on such an important season, of course. But now, at this point of the season, balancing the midweek Champions League, including the league as things get more and more intense going into March and May, or March, April, May, do you think it's a big problem for those sides?
No, not really.
The longer they're in the Champions League.
Yeah, not really. Most all had a rest on Wednesday. Those players were given off, which is unheard of, with the Liverpool team because they play so many games. But, he's been in great form and let's just hope he keeps on going for Liverpool's sake.
Arsenal, they not comfortably, but just beat Wolves 1-0.
A win's a win.
Yeah.
At this stage of the season, as long as you get in those 3 points, that's the main thing. Doesn't matter if it's by 5 goals, 10 goals, as long as you get in the result and the 3 points.
And one would have to wonder, they're looking over their shoulders and thinking, wow, City is now in our rearview mirror, 6 points separating them, those two sides now. And City, they get the beating of Chelsea impressively with a 3-1 scoreline. Yeah,
the Chelsea with the youngsters, I've been saying this for a while now. They're going to be up and down results. They're going to be doing this. So they're a team to watch for the future. They're a very young team and they've got some very good players. But, City on a roll now. The only concern for me with City still is the conceding of goals. That's the big worry. They're conceding far too many.
Football to look forward to. Just starting now, in the very near future, Nottingham Forest will look to bounce back to winning ways. Is it going to be that easy, though, against a good Brighton side?
This is a very difficult game to bounce back for. Brighton up and down as well, one of those teams that on their day can beat any side as well. Forest will just be happy to get a result, because of what happened last week, the reaction. I said to you earlier in the season, teams with a smaller budget, with a smaller squad, this is the time they start to suffer. Especially after playing so many games. And this is the one thing I'm worried about Forest.
You worried about Liverpool maybe at the stage of the season up against Bournemouth away from home?
Look, it's a difficult game. They rested these players for this game. They rested basically 7-8 players midweek for this game in mind. A good thing. Not many days rest for all these guys. So they'll be hungry. Hopefully get a goal or two. But I think Liverpool should win it, but it's going to be a difficult game. I think at the end of the day, if they come away with something, they'll be more than happy.
I asked you about Arsenal and Man City and the battle possibly for second spot coming into the season with City looking as though they may just catch up. Those two play each other on Sunday, late kickoff on Sunday. What a game that promises to be out in London.
6-pointer for Man City. It's simple, I haven't done it. They have to beat Arsenal if they want to end up in that second position. I'm not too sure they can. As I said, conceding goals.
You on that.
I think, and you're going to get me wrong here, I think this is going to end up in a draw. And it might even be a 0-0 draw. But having said that, both teams are conceding at the moment, so maybe a 1-1 draw.
But Newcastle up against Fulham, some will be thinking Newcastle have found their groove in 2025, actually from late 24. Do you see them putting Fulham to the sword?
Newcastle is always a difficult team. Fulham's always a difficult team to play against. Newcastle at home, their fans are an extra player. They really are. The Georgies are a different class. I think they can get the job done against Fulham. Different story for us at Craven Cottage, but at home I think they'll get the job done.
Chelsea are a side that's doing well at times, and then come the turn of the year they have lost their way a bit, but they are up against West Ham and hoping to get back to winning ways and have a strong finish to the season.
Derby game again. I thought that's the derby you were talking about earlier, but derby game. I think they'll bounce back. As I said, with the youngsters, 1 week in, 1 week out, I think they'll bounce back. West Ham aren't having the greatest of seasons, so for me, it'll be a Chelsea victory.
Look at Chelsea now; they're 6th on the log table. They've dropped behind Newcastle. City's now obviously gone ahead of them to 4th spot. Is there a problem with Chelsea of late, considering they've only won one of the last 4?
No. It's like I said to you, when you've got a bunch of youngsters in the squad, you're going to go through a bad patch, and this is what's happened to them. They've got to turn it around now. They've got to stay in that hunt. They've got to be in Europe for next season. With the amount of money they've spent and the players they brought in, they've got to be in Europe next season. So for them, it's a must-win, and as I said, West Ham struggling.
Now, here's the thing about Nottingham Forest that I find quite mind-blowing of late. We spoke about their form in December, and we said that was a big reason why they jumped up to 3rd, 4th, and 3rd, rather I should say, on the league table, with Newcastle, with lovely form in December. But Forest have only lost one of the last 5, even now. That's the game they just lost last weekend. So they're still doing very well to be 3rd spot behind Arsenal.
Because of the previous run they had, they were on a very good run in December, and it just shows you that you go on
the momentum,
run. We were speaking of air earlier. You were saying Liverpool won the league. I said no, because if you go on their bad run, teams catch up to you, and that's the problem with Forest now. Now they're looking over the shoulder and saying, how do we keep going? What do we do to keep going? Unfortunately, when you've got tired legs, you can do what you like. If you don't have the players to swap and change, you're going to have those problems. They're just hoping that they can keep it and stay in that position.
Aston Villa now 8th has the balance, or the need to balance the local league and Europe caught up with them this season.
Europe has caught up with them. Basically, that's what's happened with them. Europe killed their chances of any top finish. They got to do well in Europe now. But, at the end of the day, they are a good side, but again, not a big enough squad. When you're playing in Europe and you're playing locally, it takes a big squad to do that, and they don't have it.
Tell you what, the players that have been shining out there in England, Mo Salah, 19 goals, Haaland, 18 goals. Isak is also another outstanding player. Not forgetting Palmer out at Chelsea, entertaining and fun to watch. So that's our talk with Shane, breaking down the English game. Shane comes back and we talk about Germany and football in Germany later. For now, all things Soweto Derby and what's been going on in the Nedbank Cup.